Hi, I'm Gabi, and welcome to Gabbing with Gabi. In this series, we sit down with fellow artists who've brought their knowledge and talent to the world via the internet. It's a chance for them to put down their brushes, to step away from their easels, and to talk about themselves. And it's also a great opportunity for all of us to get to know them better. Our guest today is Andy. Andy, please introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Andy the Painting Fireman. I live in Lamont, Alberta, Canada.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about what you paint with. Do you paint with oil?
I paint with oil. I use a wet on wet technique like Bill Alexander and Bob Ross used to do. And yeah, it's a fabulous form of artwork.
Yes. And what do you usually paint?
I'm primarily a landscape painter. I tend to stay away from buildings and people, but I've done a few of those. I've painted flowers, but primarily mountain landscapes.
Okay, awesome. And how long have you been painting?
Oh, it's been 7 years coming up, maybe 8 years, around there.
Wow, that's awesome. How many pieces do you think you've done in that time?
Oh my goodness. I'm just doing a show right now at a local market, and I have 25 pieces that I've kind of saved for that show. Over the 7 years, it's got to be in the hundreds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. How did you get started?
It was kind of by chance. My dad back in the 80s used to record Bob Ross videos on PBS, and he actually started painting. And then I never painted as a kid. I'm not very artsy at all, things like that. So really, I started watching it on YouTube. I found Bob Ross on YouTube, and I would listen to him at lunch. And what really happened was one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. I think I can do it. And I went on Kijiji and I found a $50 Bob Ross paint set from a local guy, and I came home and painted my first picture. That's how it all started.
Awesome. And do you still have your first picture?
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have it?
It's hanging upstairs in my hallway.
Is it? Awesome. Yeah, and how did it turn out?
You know, it was I painted it, and then I showed my wife, and she goes, "That is really, really good." I'm like, you know, it was all right. First time, like I've never oil painted in my life, and she kind of convinced me to try again. I brought my fourth painting into my workplace, and one of the guys said, "How much do you want for it?" That was my first sale. Yeah, after my fourth painting.
That's so cool. That's crazy. I couldn't have sold my fourth painting to a blind man.
I didn't think so either. And you know what? I think I sold it for like $60 or something. And I was ecstatic because I went and bought more paint and brushes. That's what I did with the money. Just kind of reinvested everything, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the point of selling them, in my opinion. Just so you can
that's exactly
pay for the habit. Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
I actually donate more than I sell.
Yeah.
A lot of local charities ask me for stuff, and they put them in silent auctions, things like that. So, and you know what, I'm not here to sell them really. Like that wasn't my intent at all, but it just kind of happened that way. And you know, I've donated to the air ambulance, the hospitals, hockey clubs, football clubs, local fire departments, and they've all sold my stuff for quite a bit of money, and that only helped them. And it makes me feel good. Like it makes me feel real good that something I have done kind of pads their, you know, puts money in their coffers so that they can do something good with it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's something that you love to do, and then you get to see it, you know, go outside of yourself. And so that's really
100%.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay. So you want to tell us why you're called the Painting Fireman?
So I am an on-call firefighter. I have a day job, but I'm on call evenings and weekends for our local fire department. And one day I was kind of in my basement painting, and I paint regularly. I try to paint once a week. And I looked over and I saw my decommissioned fire helmet that was all cracked and stuff, and we couldn't use it anymore. And I kind of looked at it and I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on and I'm going to just record myself. I put it on, I recorded myself, put it on YouTube, and man, it exploded. It was awesome. People loved it. And yeah, that's how that started.
Yeah, it's kind of a novelty because you don't think of firemen as painters. You just don't.
Yeah, you don't. And the other reason that I paint is a lot of times I see things that normal people don't see. A lot of carnage, death, things like that. Regular people don't see. And you need to find a way to fix your mental health after you've been through a traumatic experience like that. And it's happened. I can't even count how many times it's happened to me already. A lot of times after a real bad call or traumatic call, the next day I'll sit down and paint. And my mind, you know, painting is so good for your mind and for your mental health well-being. And that's why I do it too. It just helps me kind of forget about what I've seen. And yeah, it helps with your brain. Really, it does.
Yeah. I think that's something that people forget a lot of times is that, our firefighters, our law enforcement, they're just going and they're doing their jobs, but
Yeah.
it is stuff that most of us could never even function after seeing. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's like I said, it's and you know what, you have to be mentally strong to do a lot of that stuff. Like paramedics and firefighters and policemen, they see the worst of the worst, and they see a lot of times when that person is in their time of need, right? And personally, I've been to several accidents on a highway. Nothing ever good happens when two cars crash together, right? So yeah, you see a lot of stuff that just ordinary people shouldn't see ever, and I hope they never have to. That's
mhm,
so painting does help me mentally, anyways.
mhm. I know that your service is a long way from me, but let me say from myself and probably a lot of other people out there, thank you for your service.
Well, you're very welcome. It's an honor to serve our community, and you know what, I always say somebody's got to do it, and I love my job and I love helping the community, and yeah,
Mhm,
it's good.
mhm. Do you guys do volunteer or are you paid for your work?
Um, we do volunteer, but they consider us paid on call, so I'm kind of an employee of the county.
Okay.
But a lot of our stuff, if we do parades or fundraising, or if we go decorate the old age homes, things like that, that's all volunteer.
Okay.
Truck checks, when we clean the hall, that's all volunteer. It's not paid for.
Mm-hmm. I was from a really small town here in Minnesota, and our maybe not our fire department, but our ambulance was all volunteer. And it's
Yeah.
like the work that work is traumatic, and being able to get the licensing to do that work and then they volunteer for it. It's like, wow, you guys are really good people.
Well, about 90% of all fire departments are volunteer-run organizations. It's all volunteer. But just because we're volunteer, I'm trained exactly like a career firefighter's trained. I got all my seals. I got my instructor seals. I got my officer certificates. So really, I could apply for a job at a career department, right? I have all the certifications that a career person has. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and none of us want those people showing up and not knowing what they're doing. So
Exactly, right? So, and we train
volunteer.
hard. We train every Tuesday, and yeah, you got to do what you got to do. So the
Mhm.
more we train, the better we are at a job. Just like painting, right? Like, the more you paint, the better you get.
Yeah. Your job is an art too, apparently.
Yeah,
It's just one art to another.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so now we know what you do for work. Do you have any hobbies outside of painting?
Uh, I I love hockey. Love watching hockey. Growing up in Canada, I'm sure if you've seen any other Canadians out there, that's what they're going to say. We love playing hockey. I was a coach. I have two kids. I was a coach in hockey. That's a great hobby of mine. And you know what's camping and spending time with my family. I enjoy all that in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't ice skate or hockey in the winter or in the summer, but
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
hard. Yeah,
that far north, you'd think you almost could.
yeah.
What artists inspire you?
uh, Primarily, it was Bob Ross.
Mhm.
Just the way he goes about painting in such a short amount of time. I've tried to emulate as quick as he does it. I've gotten up to about 45 minutes for a painting, but he was just an amazing man. I just absolutely love watching every single video he's ever put out, or every show that he's ever produced. It was,
Mhm.
yeah, primarily Bob Ross.
Have you ever watched his last episode?
Uh, I think it's like Towering Peaks or something.
Oh yeah.
What it's called. I did, yeah. Yeah.
I felt like I was going to mourn him, so it took me a long time to like buck up the courage to watch his last
Yeah,
one.
it was sad what happened.
Yeah.
He was actually, they were trying to make a kids program, and his last appearance on TV, and he looked very frail. But he made a brief appearance in the children's video.
Hmm. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was a fantastic artist and a great teacher.
Yeah, yeah, and just had such a beautiful spirit. I think that was the thing that really got me about him.
And he encouraged everybody to try their best. And you know what, he's always said, we don't make mistakes. It's always happy accidents. And I try to do that when I do my YouTube videos too. Like, I make mistakes, and I don't edit them out. I keep them on there, and it's just
Yeah.
to show, you can fix something that you've done.
Hmm. Hmm. I always tell people that too. I let one of my friends, like 8-year-old son, sit down at my easel one time. He wanted to paint, and I had half a picture painted. And in about 10 seconds, he just destroyed my painting. And then I went back through and I just painted a new picture, and everybody was like, "Wow, that's so amazing!" I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's oil."
Yeah, I went camping with a group of friends, and I brought my paint stuff out there, and they've never painted before. And we painted 5 pictures, and they couldn't believe how, I wouldn't say easy, but how natural it felt to paint the way that Bob Ross used to paint. And that's what I tried to emulate for them. So
Mhm.
yeah, they
Mhm.
loved it.
Yeah.
Kids, adults, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have A favorite classical artist?
Not really. I really didn't study any of them. Art is to me still just a hobby, so I haven't got in depth. It's only the modern artists that I see. I'm not a fan of like Picasso's or Rembrandt's or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've seen Picasso's. I was doing a fire course in Indianapolis actually, and the hotel had a bunch of Picasso's in there, and I kind of shook my head. I'm like, I don't really like the style that he has, but you know what? Everybody's got their own personal style. Not everybody likes the stuff I paint either, right? So yeah. But I never really followed any of the contemporary artists or anything like that. No.
And I don't think that you need to in order to be a good artist. I really don't,
No.
So.
And the way this wet on wet works, I mean, you paint what you feel like painting. It's not, as long as you got a little bit of a technique and a drive to create something, that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What is your favorite thing specifically to paint?
I love mountains. I love the way if you look at a mountain one day and go back the next day, you'll see an entirely different mountain. All the shapes and all the shadows and things like that, they're fantastic to look at. And painting's the same way. I've never painted the same mountain twice, like ever. So that's what I love about painting mountains. You're always something new. Like you can paint a lake or water and it might look the same. A mountain never comes out the same twice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like in the movie Pocahontas when she says you never step in the same river twice. I think about mountains that way.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love the mountains. Northern Lights is the other thing. I'm fortunate enough to be up north that we could see Northern Lights kind of on a daily basis. I live in a small town too, so there's not a lot of city light that interferes with the Northern Lights, and we really get some spectacular ones up here. Cool. So they're actually another favorite of mine to paint. But mountains and Northern Lights, those are the two things that I can say that I love painting.
Yeah. And I don't know who doesn't, you know what I mean? I've yet to meet anybody who's like, I really don't like painting mountains or Northern Lights. It's like, they're just so fun. Let's see. When you first started, what was easy? What came easy to you?
Blending of color. The style, like wet on wet, allowed you to blend the color so easily because you have your bottom coat of liquid white or whatever kind of medium you have on the bottom. And when you put that oil paint on top, the skies just blended so easy. I found that was the easy thing when I first started. I couldn't believe how easy a sky would be. And then after that, painting a cloud, like it just came natural, and they come out really good. And it doesn't take a long time. Like I've painted pictures in 45 minutes, and they're like fully detailed with clouds. So yeah, skies, the way the color blends, that was the easiest part.
Yeah. What was difficult?
Probably composition and figuring out making your painting look as natural as it could look. I've tried. I'm not a fan of abstract art. I want somebody to look at my painting and say, oh, that's a mountain and that's a tree. So the hardest part for me was trying to make it as natural and as realistic as possible. And I'm still not 100% proficient in that. I'm not super good at it, but I think some of my stuff turns out pretty decent, and it's still not a photograph, but you can tell it's a painting. But I try to make it as close as possible to the real thing. Yeah,
you did a beach picture recently that I saw on your channel, and it was so beautiful that it was like on a black canvas.
Yeah. Black canvases, I love painting on black canvases. You never realize how easy it is to paint on a black canvas, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All you're doing is really adding white paint you cover the painting with whatever color you want underneath, add white to it, and the magic just happens. So and that one, I think it was like a green, almost like a teal green color, a phthalo green color. I only used three colors actually. I used purple, green, and white.
Okay, yeah. I think the one I was thinking of, I remember there being some yellow right along the horizon with the sunrise.
Oh yeah, that one. That one was. I'm not. We're landlocked, so I've been to the ocean I think twice in my entire life. So any kind of paintings that I see of oceans, I have to look on the internet, or I have to. I don't really have the experiences with oceans. So I love painting oceans. They're actually really fun to do.
They are, and those black canvases are great too. They just do all the work for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. How long do you think it took before you felt proficient using oil paint?
Never. I don't think I am. I think I'm fairly decent at it, but I still struggle with mudding of the oil, like the paint. Like I think every oil painter from Bob Ross to somebody first starting sits and looks at the painting, paints it, and then it turns into a mud bath. But I don't think I'm I don't think I'm proficient 100%, but I'm pretty decent at it, I think.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like there was a part where you kind of went over a hump where it was like you felt like you were bad, and then one day you kind of painted something and you're like,
that I think after I put a couple paintings on Facebook, my neighbor actually had a fire in their garage, and their young boy was caught in the fire. And I painted a picture of a fireman putting out a fire and like with flames and things like that. And that was the hump when I sold it on Facebook and gave the money to the family. I sold it for $750. And that was the hump that kind of was like, wow, somebody's willing. And I mean, it was a donation. They knew I was donating the money, but for somebody to come up and pay that much money so that I can give that family the cash, because they were going to the city and they were going to the burn unit and things like that, right? So that was about, I'd have to say 4 or 5 years ago that happened. And that was the point where I thought, wow, maybe I got something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet that was kind of a proud moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I was actually, it was a bit scary. We knew about the fire, and I was actually fighting that fire. And yeah, it's something to kind of look back on, and you're like, wow, that he was lucky to come out of that fire. So, and it was scary for us. My wife was watching me run into a burning building. Like that was insane on her part, right? She was looking out the window and she sees her husband running into a fire across the street. It's kind of scary, but I figured I needed to do something. I felt the need to just help them out somehow, and I used my art to help them out. And yeah.
And he came out okay.
Yeah, he suffered some pretty significant burns. He's actually a fireman with me right now. He joined the fire department when he turned 18, or when he turned 16. He was a junior, and now he's a full-fledged firefighter. Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. I could see people either wanting to run to it or as far away from it. So good for him. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Let's see. Why did you, oh no, you already kind of answered that. My question was, why did you start recording? I guess you can answer that if you want to.
I almost not quite out of boredom, but like I said, I just saw my hat and I was like, we'll try and see what I can come up, what I can come up with. Yeah. And, I have a background in education, so I thought, well, maybe I can do something to teach somebody. If one person follows my video and starts painting, I think I'm a success. That's that one person. That's all it takes, right? And I've had people comment on my video saying, you know what, I tried your painting and it was awesome. I'm like, bonus. That was really good. I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's so cool. Let's see. What do you think makes you unique as an artist?
Oh, I don't know how many artists paint with a fire helmet on their head. So I guess that's kind of a unique gimmick, right?
Yeah.
Bob Ross had his fro. I got my fire helmet. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you find any painting firemen anywhere else, just let me know. But I don't think there's that many.
If I do, I'll be like, you can't do that. We already have one of those.
My gimmick. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah. Nobody else can wear a afro and nobody else can wear a fire helmet.
There you go. I should trademark it or patent it or something, right?
There you go. Absolutely. Oh, that's so funny. When you first started, what do you wish that you had known?
Oh my goodness. That's a tough question. I kind of wish I would have known how much it cost to buy canvases and brushes, right? I try not to cheap out on the paint and try not to cheap out on the brushes. So I wish I would have known a little bit how much money you had to invest in it. But at the end of the day, that investment pays off. Mentally for me anyways, that investment, that initial investment paid off in spades.
Do you have a favorite brand of oil paint that you use?
I actually use Bob Ross brand oil paints. I've tried Gabbing. I think I got Gabbing 1980s, Windsor. I've tried a lot of them. I tend to go back to the Bob Ross paint. It's affordable for one thing, and it's decent quality. It isn't the best out there, but for what I'm doing and kind of what I want to do with my art, it's perfect.
Awesome, that's great.
Same with brushes. I use Bob Ross brushes. They're good. They last a long time, and I tell people if you're going to start oil painting, don't buy the dollar store stuff. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, when you try to go cheap on things, it doesn't work well. Yeah, it just doesn't. What advice do you have for anybody who wants to get started in this?
I would watch, just sit down and watch some YouTube videos for like a week and get some ideas in your head, and go out and take that plunge. Initially it cost me $50. That's all it cost me. $50 in 2 hours of my time, and it. At the end of the day, I'm still painting 7 years later off that initial $50 that I bought that paint set. So just dive in. if you got the will and you really want to try something, the style that Bob Ross teaches, and he always says it, it's easy, you can do it. It's easy, you can do it. Like it's not a very difficult thing, and you only get better with every single painting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What does oil painting mean to you?
I'm not really.
That's a tough question.
What does it mean to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we skip that one?
Yeah, we can totally skip that one. Let's go on to the bonus questions.
Oh, bonus question. Right on.
We love bonus questions.
Yes.
These are a little bit more in depth, so I always have to read them off.
Okay.
Have any other firemen painted with you, and what do those guys think of what you're doing?
We actually had a paint night as a fundraiser. I wasn't involved in it, so a couple of them did those acrylic paint nights. No, I can't say that a fireman has painted with me or firefighters painted with me, but they're pretty supportive of it. I'm part of a firefighter society that is kind of like our fundraising portion of our fire department. And they're on board with me. I'm doing a sale and I'm donating 25% of the sales to the society, to the firefighter society. So they're on board with it, and it's made up of a bunch of firefighters from our department. So yeah, they love the stuff that I've painted. The department that our neighboring department actually has bought about 3 pieces of mine and hung it in their hall as fundraisers. So yeah, but I can't say that any of them have painted yet with me.
Someday they might.
Maybe I might do a paint night, but with oil paint, right?
Yeah,
I can't do acrylics. I tried acrylics, and it's just not for me.
Yeah, they're awful. I hate acrylic paint. Just not good.
You make a mistake with acrylics, and you're like, crap. That's the end of the world.
Yeah. I have people all the time. Do you do like paint nights or whatever? And I'm like, do you know what it would take to do that with oil?
Yeah. I have people ask me the same thing. You should do a paint night. Well, I'm not using dollar store paints. You need like things to clean it with. Yeah. Tubes of paint are quite expensive. I mean, unless you want me to charge $200, I'll do it. But
yeah. $200 and you need to have a class of at least 10 people. Otherwise it's not worth your time.
Not worth it. Yeah.
If there were no financial implications involved, put money aside for a second. If you were forced to choose between being a painter, painting, or being a fireman, and you had to choose one of them, which one would you choose?
I'd be a firefighter.
Yeah.
I mean, my paintings help people. I donate a lot of my stuff, and it does do good for some communities or organizations. But I think firefighting is a little more important. You're going to somebody in their worst time in need, and I could paint anytime I want, but that person really needs you now. No. And I think that's what drives me to be a better firefighter, and drives me to answer the question the way I did. That's kind of on the top of the list.
Yeah, I bet. I think that's it for questions. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to kind of share with everybody?
Well, if you're ever thinking of painting, just go out, take that plunge, dive in, pick up a brush, and you'll be amazed what you can do. Don't sell yourself short. That's what I did my first time until somebody told me that, that's really good. So just keep at her, keep plugging away at it, and you'll do fine. Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to help out your community and you live in a small town, go up to your local fire department and ask for an application. You'll learn so much valuable lessons on the fire department skills. It's great for putting on a resume if you if you're a volunteer firefighter. So go down to your local fire department, and if you want to make a difference in your community, perfect way to do it. And we had the Canada's oldest firefighter in our department. He was 72 years on the fire department, and he said, if you come to a new town, join the fire department, because instantly you have 25 friends, and that's true. Yeah. Yep. And if you can't firefight, then find one of your local departments and donate some of your work to it, so absolutely. That they can make money on it. For sure. Yeah. That's so awesome. You're very inspiring. Really. Thank you. Can you tell everybody where we can find you? Well, I got a website, www.thepaintingfireman.com, and of course my YouTube channel, The Painting Fireman. I'm on Instagram as well, The Painting Fireman. So just search those and you can find me on there.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time and doing this interview. It's again, I know that you're a very busy person, so it's been much appreciated.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm busy this year. We've had several fires. Our province is kind of on fire, so we've been busy. So, but I really appreciate coming on and speaking with you.
Yes, awesome. Okay, thank you so much. I think that's it for our interview today, guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section of the video and we'll do our best to address them. Again, I'm Gabby and this is Andy. Make sure that you guys find him, follow him. He needs more followers on YouTube. Go see his work. He's a really talented artist as well as a wonderful person for being a firefighter. And again, very much appreciated. Until next time, I really do hope that you guys fall in love with oil painting just as much as we have. Bye, guys.